Hello, everyone. If you have heard about Toyota Kata and read Mike Rother's book, but you don't know how to put it into practice, or even if you have already started practicing but just want to level up, we have created a series of videos, what we call Kata Masterclass, where we are going to show you how to be successful with your Kata practice. We are David and Ron from DDM, and we have over 5 years of Kata practice with over 7,000 coaching cycles of experience.
When we talk about kata, the first question I get from all kinds of folks is, what is it? What is kata? Is it some kind of flavor of the day or some kind of new lean tool? And I think a good place to start is right at the beginning. The word kata comes from the Japanese, meaning a daily practice or a daily habit. It might be a routine an athlete or a martial artist would do every day to build habits and to build consistency. And what we're doing in the kata, or as Mike Rother's book was entitled Toyota Kata, based on his research at Toyota and how they managed their processes, is we practice intentionally every day the habits of learning, as some would call scientific thinking. It's testing a hypothesis. How do I get somewhere new where I've never been before? And that's just what we're going to do. We're going to do this in a standard routine, regardless of what we're working on. And we're going to become comfortable saying, you know what, I don't know, but I do know a way I can quickly test that out, learn something new, and move forward with a new position or with new information I never had before. And when you do this, this is when you can really achieve challenges. And when we say challenges, it can be challenges in a business, it can be personal challenges. It's bringing you someplace you don't know how to get to, someplace you've never been before. David, talk to us about your thoughts on challenges, because for me, it's much different thinking than it used to be.
Definitely. Here we can see like the 4 steps or the routine of the improvement kata. And the first step, as you see, it's the challenge. So we have to define a challenge from ourselves, challenge from the company. Of course, everything should be aligned. Also align with the vision that the company has overall. And here we are not talking about a KPI. It's a challenge. It's what we are actually striving to achieve. It's a condition in the future that we are planning to get there. We don't know how, that for sure, but we know we want to be there.
And
What's the second step?
when you said we don't know how, I just want to interrupt and say that is key. That's so important, because our nature as humans is to be inside our comfort zone. And if we talk about how we're going to get somewhere, if you ask me, I'm going to give you that roadmap, thinking that these are the steps to
Right.
get there. But that doesn't work when you need to get somewhere you've never been before. We don't have a crystal ball. We can think we know the solutions. We can hire consultants who can tell us how they're smart, and if you implement their tools, you'll get there. But the reality is, we have to get somewhere we've never been before. We have to develop this mindset that that's okay. I just have to take one small step at a time to keep moving forward to that. And this graphic shows that. So tell us some more about how that works, please.
Exactly. So we have talked about the first step, which is the challenge. And therefore, right after that, we have to know what's our current condition. Where do we stand now before setting where we want to be in the right future? So the
Mhm.
current condition, it's the condition, as it says the word, where we stand now. It's it's not about the well, it's also about the KPIs, it's also about how we measure the outcomes and so on, but it's also about how we acting, the sequence of how we act right now,
Mhm.
which this helps us a lot to set the current condition, to set the third step here in the improvement kata.
Hmm. Okay. And we'll get into those details in just a minute, a little bit more. But I'm still excited in challenge thinking because challenge thinking really changes your mindset when you get in tune with that. And that it's okay to have this vision, this idea of this challenge that we have no idea how to do. Or I can achieve something that I can't tell you how I'm going to get there yet. And when we talk about, David, you mentioned that it's in an organization or it's linked to a company vision. But I've also worked with people, coached people, talked with people, and this could be a personal challenge. I know people who've set the challenge of paying off their home mortgage much earlier than was required, or set a challenge of quitting smoking. A good friend of mine set a challenge of losing weight, and he said, I want to be here at the end of the year. I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to take one small step every day and change the way I act and behave and learn my way to that achievement. And it worked, and he's maintained. And that's something else that I can't help but mention, that changing the mindset, developing people who are comfortable in the unknown, okay with saying, you know what, I don't know, but that's okay. I know a consistent way to get there. It changes everything, because when things change in business, which they do all the time, you don't have to panic. It's okay. Think of industries that rapidly change over the events of history or even recent past. Healthcare industry, obvious rapid changes over the last several years. Automotive industry, where David and I both currently work, also changes incredibly fast. And this challenge thinking, this mindset, changes everything in yourself and in your people. Yeah, and it's really pretty simple. I know I'm going to commute to work every day, and my challenge in that microcosm is to get there at the end. If there's road construction, if there's a vehicle accident and a road is closed, I will take a different route. But if I was locked into this roadmap and this is the way that I know to get there, once I had an empty gas gauge in my car and I had to divert to get fuel, or I had to take an alternate route, I would be stopped in my tracks, and that's silly. No one operates that way, and we shouldn't operate that way in business. When we lock ourselves into a roadmap style of thinking or action item style of thinking, because the action items are driven from the roadmap, what we think that we know about the future, then we end up wasting a lot of resources working on things that weren't really the value added activities that we should have been working on.
And this, for I have another example here. I've been helping a friend of mine
Mm-hmm.
in her PhD, and that was fantastic because she actually didn't know exactly what he had to do, what were the experiments he had to
Mm-hmm.
do exactly. So by experimenting, by knowing where exactly she wanted to be, of course, like finishing her PhD and knowing the
Mm-hmm.
current condition, she got a much better feeling about what exactly she needed to
Mm-hmm.
get where she wanted. So
Mm-hmm. Sure. Absolutely. Keeping the focus on where she needed to be at the end, and not
correct,
worried
yeah.
so much in the meantime about how to get there, but rather about one step at a time. Yeah, an example I told a lot of folks, new practitioners, is think of going up a long staircase in the dark. You have a flashlight, but you can't see all the way to the end of the top of the staircase. But what you can clearly see is one step at a time. Maybe there's a toy left on the stairs from the little ones, or maybe there's a broken step or something like this. It doesn't matter. You can clearly take one step at a time. Each of those steps gets you closer to the challenge. And so when you look at the 4 steps of the improvement kata, this is kind of a standard graphic a lot of folks use talking about kata or Toyota kata. That kind of jagged path, or this out of order condition, is perfectly intentional. And it makes sense once you understand kata. First step, we know where we're going. Next step we will do is we'll clearly take the time to understand where we're at today. And then we will develop target conditions. And what a target condition is is a short term in our practice, 2-week time frame. This is kind of our next increment to get us closer to the challenge. And once we have clarity on these things, then we will do daily experiments and we will eliminate the obstacles that are preventing us from achieving our next target condition. And each target condition moves us closer to the challenge. So a typical challenge time frame for a lot of folks is maybe 6 months or 1 year, something like that. It's somewhat visionary. It's where the company needs to be competitive, to be profitable, to stay in business, for a department to hit the KPIs, for production to meet its goals. Whatever it is, whatever industry you're in, we're working in these target conditions, these smaller increments towards achieving our challenge. And we're doing that by eliminating the obstacles that are in our way. And that's so much more important than, and so much more value added than working on action items. Many times, and David, I think you know about this. I know you have seen it a lot. Maybe you have a fun example in your mind, but target conditions are achieved, and the things that we thought were obstacles were not even all addressed. And had they been action items on an action item list, we would have made somebody work on it, or we would have spent time on it. And only by doing this daily routine of learning did we realize throughout the course of the target condition, everything we thought was a problem in the beginning necessarily wasn't.
Absolutely. I've seen a lot of those examples.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of obstacles written in the storyboard, where what we are going to talk about later, written there and never touched. And even people achieve their target condition, because at the beginning they thought there were obstacles, they wanted to work on them. But actually what happened is that, well, they learn about the current condition, they experimented towards the right obstacles because they saw it before. And then turns out that, well, they achieved the target condition without not even touching some of the obstacles. So that's a really good learning, actually.
Yeah. And thanks everyone for joining us and for walking through this with us. And we are, because we've been there, we feel the pain. We are creating a series of videos that we'll post on our YouTube channel and other places about how to really understand various aspects of the kata. And in the meantime, check out our website for some things to help you get started, and hit us up on LinkedIn, our YouTube page, or various places you find DD Mindset for any questions you have or any support you need.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you everybody
for
watching.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Next time.
See you next time.
Bye.